We've pretty much turned the entire house into a giant sensory room. Hey guys, so the last few days, the kids have been extremely hyper, seeking out a lot of stimuli, engaging in very rough play, pushing, hitting, jumping on each other, and us. And Carmelo, also the last 2 days, has gotten back to poo smearing. And whenever they're like this, we start pulling out a lot more activities to try to satisfy their sensory needs. And that got me thinking about their sensory diet. Sensory diet is a term that I learned about 4 years ago. One of the therapists told me about it. I had never heard about it before. And we started implementing a sensory diet for the boys. We found that it really does work. Sometimes when kids have problem behaviors, it's because something is lacking. So over the past 4 years, it's become kind of second nature for us to just pull out activities for the kids when they're having certain behaviors. Everything I buy, except for some toys that the kids just really want, is very intentional for the purpose of satisfying a need that the children have. We've bought so many things around the house, and almost everything that we buy for the children are some kind of sensory tool for them, that our house has turned into just a giant sensory room. Everything, I always say everything is therapy for us. You can make everything therapy. So what exactly is a sensory diet? Basically, it's implementing sensory activities for children to perform during the day to ensure that they're getting the input that they physically need, that their body needs. So when you talk about sensory play or sensory activities, most people go straight to thinking about Tactile. Like the sensory bins have gotten extremely popular over the past couple of years. But your body has so many sensory systems. So in addition to Tactile, these systems include Auditory, Vestibular, Proprioceptive, it's always a hard word for me to say, Visual, Olfactory, and Oral. And I'll go over all of those systems and exactly what they are and some examples of the activities that we have done personally to satisfy the children's needs for all of these sensory systems. So there were so many, I had to write them down because I couldn't remember them just off the top of my head. I walked around the house remembering everything that we have because we don't pull all of them out every day. It's just like they're always available to the children, but the children don't always ask for them, and we don't always have to bring them out for the children if we see that they're not really seeking that stimuli. So I'll start with Tactile. The tactile sensory system is, of course, the sense of touch. Examples of this in children would be if they're just seeking out things to touch. For example, Carmelo loves to touch lips, especially my lips. He always, since he was an infant, would seek out to touch and grab at my lips until they're raw, bleeding, all kinds of stuff. Things that we got for them, activities for them for Tactile include fidget tools, of course, the fidget spinners, the little cubes to play with, water play, they love water, that's a big one for them, and shaving cream. Shaving cream is one of their favorite activities, and it gets everywhere. They just go nuts over it. Beans, so we would get like cheap inflatable kiddie pools and fill them up with beans, but they've popped all of those recently, so we need a new bin for the beans. But they'll get in it, touch it, and they'll also put it on their legs, let it go down their arms. So they love the beans as well. Squishy toys, they love their squishy toys, but they have to be ones filled with the little beads, the water ones, they pop within a couple of minutes. Sand, putty, Play-Doh, slime, all of those are really good and have different textures. So we only bring out one at a time, but they satisfy their need to touch things. Slime is definitely a big one. Carmelo loves Play-Doh. And then we also have Mad Matter, is the kind of sand, sensory sand that we get. It's the least messy one, so that's our favorite. Water beads, they went through a phase where they loved playing with water beads. Wiki sticks are the little long sticks that are covered in wax, and you can bend them into all kinds of shapes and make pictures with them. Finger paints, of course. Touch and fill flashcards and books. Carmelo loved the flashcards. We brought those everywhere with us. Spiky blocks, so spiky building blocks, and ice. Like whether it's touching ice, or one of Carmelo's things is after he gets out of bath, we have to have one of those little blue ice packs ready for him, and he wants it rubbed on his arms and his back and his legs as soon as he gets out of the bath. So that's him seeking some kind of sensory need there. So we accommodate it. The next sensory system that I'm going to cover is auditory. That system involves sound. So children who are always yelling, screaming, humming, making noises, singing may need more stimulus that includes sound. So of course, that goes along with music. So we'll play music. We have guitars, ukuleles, little like toy ones or real ones. Around the house, we have 3 pianos plus a little kiddie piano in the toy room. We have a xylophone. We got shaky eggs. They love those. Like we can do the shaky eggs and to songs, and they really get into that. They want drums, but we haven't done that yet. Carmelo wanted an alarm clock, and he loves to hear it go off. And also one more thing that we did was a sound pillow. So we got this, full disclosure, we got this sound pillow for free. We were participating in a study that was never published because I guess they didn't get the results that they wanted, but it's a really nice pillow. It has a speaker within the pillow, and so it has a wire that can connect to an MP3 player, and it played soothing music, rain sounds, nature sounds, white noise, all of that. Hiddo just fell in love with that pillow. He would just lay there and not move, so that was a good one for auditory. The next sense is vestibular. That is a movement sense related to balance and our spatial awareness. So children who are constantly moving may need some vestibular input. So things that we've gotten are the swing. We have a doorway, gorilla swing. We have multiple attachments for it. They love the regular bucket seat and the swinging hammock. Those are their 2 favorites. Large exercise balls, so the bouncing motion of that while they're laying on their stomach or sitting on it and bouncing. They love huge exercise balls to bounce on. And then also we have a toy horse in the living room, and they'll go on that and bounce on it as well. And we're looking into also getting a balance beam for the kids. Just gotta find a nice one that I can tuck away and it won't take up too much space. But I figured they like to balance on things. So the proprioceptive system is your coordination and body awareness. So this would be a child who enjoys rough play, jumping around, running, all of that kind of stuff. Some of the items and activities that we do for the kids are, we got the treadmill so they can run or walk on that. The trampoline in the toy room was a big one. They love to jump. so they can go in there. That's always available for them. We have a tumbling mat that we can put on the floor and they can roll and jump across that. Weighted blankets. Both the boys do have weighted blankets and sleep with them at night. So that's not really a during the day. We try to implement it during the day, but they don't ask for them during the day. We thought that they might, but they like those for sleeping. Stringed beads, so like Mardi Gras beads, beaded necklaces. We have a large box of those, and the kids can take those and like put them, so like deep pressure is part of the proprioceptive system, and so they can put those on their legs. They like kiddo would just sit there with them across his legs, on his chest, things like that. We have a scooter board that they can shuffle on, like sit on, and they go across the floor all over the place. One example that you don't even have to buy anything to help with this sense is like heavy work. So like push against a wall, play tug of war, like pull on a blanket back and forth. We have a large bucket, a couple large buckets of stuffed animals, and they can just jump into those. So we don't have a crash pad, but we have a bucket of stuffed animals that they can just jump into and sit there surrounded by the animals. One more thing that we do for that one is for their need to run and jump is we kind of set up the living room to be a little obstacle course for them at all times. So we have the futon that now lays down flat. I put the kitchen chairs next to those, and then we have a little end table by the dining room table, and then another chair, and they will just go on the chair, table, chairs, futon, and just make circles, and just so it's jumping up and down, and yeah, they love it. So another sensory system is visual, self-explanatory, right? That would be a child who likes to watch moving parts of toys, looks closely at toys, likes to watch spinning objects, seeks out flashing lights, that kind of thing. So the kids, the boys especially, have always loved toys, even since they were infants, that flashed like really bright colored lights. So we still have some of those hanging around the house from their infancy. Gears, we have like the big magnetic gears that you put on like a whiteboard, magnetic whiteboard, and they can spin those. Carmela loves to put those together and spin them. Cars, trains, they can roll those in front of their faces. The train, we have an electric train. They love to watch that one just go around and around in circles. They beg for that one a lot. Another thing I do for visual, for all of them they enjoy, I blow up a whole bunch of little water balloons with air, put them in a box or a bucket for them, and then we take the big box fan, we turn it upright so it blows straight up, and then we just dump the balloons on top of that. Sometimes the balloons will stay like just orbiting around the blowing air, and they can stay occupied for hours with that. We have a lot of different colored flashlights and like electronic candles. Dominoes. Carmela loves dominoes and loves to watch them be knocked down. Bubbles, ribbons, of all things, the paper shredder. They love to watch the paper going down and then watching through the little peephole as it's like coming down in pieces. So even just things around your house can satisfy a sensory need. I've made sensory bottles for them with glitter and different colored food dyes, that kind of thing. They love those. They would shake them all and line them up and just watch everything fall. We got a little tornado maker for 2-liter bottles. It's just a connector piece. You put that on there and just keep flipping it, and it keeps making tornadoes. So they love to watch that. A lot of like kids experiments, like making volcanoes, mixing colors, doing the whole Skittle one. So you put the Skittles around a plate and then put a little water where it's touching all the Skittles, and then the dye just goes down. They love watching that. We've also got little plastic hourglasses, and they'll just watch the sand go down. Same thing with the oil ones. So flip them upside down and the colored oil droplets fall. The next one is olfactory, which is your sense of smell. One example of this kind of sensory seeking would be Hito. When he was younger, especially, he would smell everybody's legs. If you came in the house, he'd smell your legs. He'd just sit there next to you and try to sniff your thigh. He also likes to smell people's heads. Even when Eva was born, that's all he wanted to do was lay next to her and just smell her head. He doesn't like the new baby smell anyway, right? So things that we've done for this one, there's not many things that we've done for olfactory, but we do have scented markers and crayons that they can play with. And then also, when I realized that Hito needed to smell things and that it was getting very, very bad, that he was trying to smell people. That's about when I found out about essential oils. He would try to stand over like plugins, like scented plugins. He tried to stand over them, or he tried to reach for burning candles, things like that, to try to smell them. So I did get an essential oil kit and keep getting more and more. Now we fall in love with essential oils, and the kids just really like the scents. I'll even keep bottles of diluted essential oils in my bag, and I can take that out and have them smell it, and it redirects them sometimes if they're having a lot of issues outside the house. And the last sensory system is oral. So this would be a child who chews, bites. Biting was a problem for us. Hito was a big biter. And so when he was 2.5, our first therapist told me to give him gum. I had never thought of that before. He was my first child. I didn't think of giving a 2.5-year-old gum. We did that day and the biting stopped. It satisfied that. He just needed something to chew on. And so he's been an avid gum chewer ever since. We also have done Z-Vibes, which are vibrating chew tools for Carmelo. He likes to chew on very hard things, like we've said in a previous video, wooden rocks. So to satisfy his need, we do lollipops. I tried not to give him too many sugary ones because he's the only child, I feel like a bad mommy, that has had a cavity. But we tried to switch to Zollipops, which are sugar-free lollipops, but he can only have 2 of those a day because they're kind of medicated. They help clean your teeth, so the children shouldn't have more than 2 of those a day. And sometimes you don't even need anything, like any tools, toys, anything to help satisfy these sensory needs in your own children. I have found, like Carmelo likes to be rocked, so if he needs it, he knows that he can sit in my lap and I'll just hold him and I rock. It helps build leg and ab muscles too, right? We really need a rocking chair. Another example of using my own body to help them with their sensory needs is Eva. She was having a really hard time sleeping, falling asleep when she was like 1.5. She started putting her legs between my thighs when we slept. So I'd sleep on my side next to her, and she would put her legs between my thighs, and just enough pressure that she was able to fall asleep. Also, I wanted to say that some sensory activities can satisfy more than one system. So for example, the water beads, you can add a scent to it, like essential oils, things like that, and it's not only tactile, but then it's now olfactory. Bath bombs are a good one for like 3 different senses. It's visual, tactile, and olfactory if they're scented. And the diffuser, the kids love that, not only to smell the oils and all the different scents, but also they'll play with the mist that comes out. So I'll let them capture, I don't know if it's good for the diffuser, but my kids like it, so whatever. I'll let them capture the vapor in a bottle, and then like we'll close it up and they'll watch it go out, and so it's satisfying also their visual system. So that was just a little bit about what a sensory diet is and all of your sensory systems and how we have helped the kids to satisfy their needs. I know some sensory diets can be very structured. Like if you go to an OT, they might tell you, okay, at like 9 o'clock play with Play-Doh, 12 o'clock go to the sand table, that kind of thing. But we just kind of go with the flow. We see how the children are acting and we know what to pull out for them, what to suggest that they go do, that kind of thing. So we're not very structured with our sensory diet. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. If there are any occupational therapists who are watching this, let me know down in the comments below what I got right or wrong, or anything you have to add about what a sensory diet is. Because yeah, I'm just a parent doing whatever I have to do for my kids, so I'm not an expert by any means. I'm just trying to share some information that I've learned over the past few years. So, did you know what a sensory diet was, and that children's behaviors may be indicating that they are seeking out a sensory need that isn't being met? Because I didn't know that when I learned about all of this. So let me know down in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification, turn on the bell notification, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Even the small tornado, the hurricane, and the hurricane winds. The hurricane winds, the incredible winds. The hurricane winds. It's really incredible winds. It's out air. A tornado. Look at all the tornadoes. Oh. So incredible winds are.
This tornado is really good. When you put a little dish soap in it, huh?
It's so rods and so many meats.
Do you like that, Eva?
It's a tomato. Look at this, a tornado. A tomato. Look at this tornado. Bubbles.
Look at the bubbles.
I built my Shellington. Reading pusher. Reading pusher. Look at my ball. It's called magnet. Just a second. It's called magnet.
Are you dancing to the water?
It's called magnet. It's called magnet.
Don't splash.